If you are very lucky, sometime in your career, you will meet the right person at the right time with the right message. When the Pay Now and Pay Later document came out, and I'm sure all of us were busy reading just another Senate report like I am with my stack beside my bed, the National Autism Strategy was articulated. It gave a call to action for those of us who are working in the autism sector. It showed that it was possible that there could be a better Canada for autistic Canadians, and that a national autism strategy was a vehicle to achieving that goal. And that it was possible if, and I have on my notes that capitalized, if we could find a way to work together. That was when we realized that this was the moment. This was the time. This was the place to start moving forward on changing policy and influencing a changed practices. The words National Autism Strategy were brand new back then. Now they're part of our regular warrior call. But to get from that place, we needed help, and we needed a lot of it. And we found that help in a dynamic duo, a senator and a dynamic strategist, Jim and Ginette Munson. Over the next decade and a half, they provided advice. They opened doors for us. They facilitated connections. They provided undying friendship. And occasionally they provided therapy.
That's wine.
A lot of wine. In recognition of the profound impact that Jim and Ginette Munson have had on this movement and its evolution over the last 15 years, our alliance formed the Jim and Ginette Munson Autism Leadership Award. Embedded in that award is recognition that we have leaders across this country who are committed to collaboration. They have a vision that they share. They have a commitment to community engagement. And they believe strongly in kindness. These are the qualities that reflect what Jim and Ginette brought to us and mentored us to develop. So at this point, I have the great privilege of introducing to you my very dear friends, Jim and Ginette Munson.
As you would say, is this thing on? First, I'm going to defer to the brain in the family before I have my remarks about giving out this leadership award. But I would like to acknowledge that we're on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and Algonquin people. I think it's always important to say that everywhere we go. And I would like to say how profoundly moved I was by the message that we heard today. In Victoria, I listened to Dr. Little Child, Willie, in August, and was mesmerized by his words. So we just have to keep all that in mind in terms of the word allies are being used, but the other word that has to be used here is trust, trust, trust. We can't live without trust. But with that, Ginette would like to say a few words.
Just a couple of words. So thank you. I was hearing the members of the Indigenous Perspectives panel. I was deeply moved and troubled again. But I thought I'd add a message of hope to you and to everybody else. I just want to tell the short story about how when Jim was a senator and invited the inquiry that became Pay Now or Pay Later, and shortly after, Jim, in speaking with some of the early pioneers, particularly Margaret Whelan, said, well, my wife maybe can help you because she's a consultant and she does facilitation of teams and groups. And so here I go on a plane to Toronto, and I find myself along with Marg, Lori Mollum, Dave Mickelson, a representative from the Autism Society of Canada, and a couple of other people. And for a day or so, we brainstormed. What a naive little group we were. And we simply, very humbly threw around the ideas from what, well, they did. I gathered the stuff on a flip chart, and that was the start of where we are today. So it's my story of hope. And to the members of the Indigenous Perspective Panel, that's my message of hope. So it's been a long and rich journey, and here we are today. So thank you for listening to me.
So here we are, and I'd like to also say that I left for about an hour this morning, and I'm always looking for messages of inspiration and hope, no matter where I look. You have to stop and see them. And in the last 48 hours, I saw two messages, one in front of a church and one in front of, I don't know what the name of the building was, but I think it sums up what is here. You are loved and you are not alone. You are loved and you are not alone. That is a message I saw. I take those messages, but then I saw another one just about an hour ago, but because we have to get the message out from here, and I haven't seen enough of it on Twitter or anything else, but there are messages. But the sign I saw said, tweet others as you would like to be tweeted. So I thought, tweet others as you would like to be tweeted. And I went back to Tweety Bird and I said, that's a good thing. So we got to get the message out. I worked for a guy named Jean Chrétien one time for a couple of years when he was prime minister. And he was always talking about, Jimmy, Canada is the best country in the world. I said, yeah, I said, yes, monsieur, Canada is the best country in the world. But after listening this morning and listening to the word waiting list, you're not alone there either, because Canada may be the best country in the world, but we're all seen to be on a waiting list. And we have to change that, both for the autism world and also the other worlds that we do live in. And I do want to acknowledge, before I give out or hand out the name of the person who has won this award, I have to stop just for 1 second and say and acknowledge the three amigos in this room. Because without them, in the long ago, I wouldn't have been, Ginette and I would not have been able to do what we have done. It's one thing to have to build a collaboration with, as you saw, the Good Party last night and the many senators involved, and we have to keep on moving on the national autism strategy. But if it weren't for the three amigos, Debbie Irish, Cynthia Carroll, and Margaret Whelan, Ginette and I could not have gotten this done, because they are the bulwark of where we're at today. And they have built this process to where Jonathan and Deepa are taking it to another level, and you, good doctor, are taking it to another great level across the country. So I think we have to do that. So this room, these are my prepared remarks. They'll be very short, just like myself, so don't worry. This room, including the Zoom room, Zoom, is filled with caring people of vision, of initiatives, people capable of making things happen for the community of autistic people. It has been a long journey, calling for action for a national autism strategy. In the early years, our call to action was to speak one voice, so the politicians and the policy community would listen and understand. That voice has become first voices, the real thing, the authentic call for action. As Minister Qualtrough said in her press release yesterday, our disability communities are fully enveloped by the principle of nothing about us without us. That means first voice leadership. Ginette and I are so honored and humbled that this leadership award has been created in our names. It is humbling and it is full of hope, because it makes room for exceptional people to demonstrate their leadership talent. The Jim and Ginette Leadership Award looks to individuals who demonstrate qualities of vision, collaboration, acceptance, openness to other perspectives, personal strength and integrity, and a track record of action and impact. Now, last year, and I know Whitney, you're watching in Brandon, Manitoba. Last year, Whitney Hodgson's was the first Leadership Award recipient, and I'm going to say hi, Whitney, in Zoom land. We know you're watching. Keep on leading. So there were a number of people who were honored to be listed as the individuals who've been considered for the award, and I'd like to mention their names. Marjo Wosk, Kate Reynolds, Cynthia Carroll, Sandra Hughes, Terry Batlev, Stephen Atme, Dr. Glenn Rampton, Jackie McMillan, and you're all winners. But there is one winner this year who will receive the award. And before I mentioned his name, and before I give a very poor Newfoundland Labrador accent, but I'm from New Brunswick, I can get away with that. There are three little phrases that have struck me, and one has come from this particular person. But I think, Rebecca, last night, you talked about together we get things done. Sounds simple, but Chief, you talked about that. Together we get things done. Leadership is who you are. And so the person who's receiving the award this year has said, there is no disability, only different ability. You choose how to see it. The person who said that is Tom Jackman from Newfoundland and Labrador, the new winner of the Jim and Ginette Munson Leadership Award. There you go, Tom. I have a tendency, I want to be really loud, but this is loud, right? Congratulations. Yeah. Thank you. And I'm right.
So Jim.
Are you all ready? After an introduction like that, you probably don't expect too much. I'm relieved to know that my speech doesn't have to be very good. I would like to thank my arms for always being by my side. My legs for always supporting me, and my fingers because I can always count on them. And I would like to thank Google for finding me that joke. Okay, I'm extremely honored to be receiving the Jim and Ginette Munson Autism Leadership Award. I'm grateful for the recognition that I've received, as I'm sure that every other nominee for this award was as capable, if not more, of winning. I would like to thank the Autism Alliance of Canada for putting on such a great conference and for their continued focus on the complex issues that autistic individuals and their families face across the lifespan. April is Autism Acceptance Month. Awareness is understanding that autism impacts the way people experience and interact with the world. Acceptance is when we stop expecting people with autism to change to fit within society. I would like to thank Jim and Ginette Munson for their advocacy on behalf of autistic individuals in Canada, for their commitment towards the National Autism Strategy and the passing of Bill 203, S203. Bill S203 is a major step forward in establishing a coordinated national strategy, which will provide consistent and meaningful supports for autistic people living in Canada. Usually when I'm in Ottawa, I see the NHL hockey senators, not former senators such as yourself, and current senators like at last night's reception. So it's good that you can be here this afternoon with us. I would like to thank the people who nominated me for the award. I used to travel to many autism conferences around Canada before the pandemic and do presentations. I had a wide choice of nominators from east to west in Canada, from people that I met at various conferences over the years. If you ever want me to attend or do a presentation at a future conference, be sure to get in touch with me. I enjoy sharing my perspective and promoting autism acceptance. The Autism Alliance of Canada, Autism Canada, and Autism Newfoundland and Labrador all have my contact information if you wish to get in touch with me. And then, or just add me on Facebook if you enjoy being entertained by funny memes all day. I would like to thank the awards committee who had the difficult decision of picking a winner. With so many other deserving candidates, I'm not certain that I deserve this, but then what's my opinion against all of yours? Don't forget to get your nominations in for the 3rd annual Jim and Ginette Munson Autism Leadership Award in 2024 when the nomination process opens. Thanks to Ben LaChapelle, the animal knower, for his beautiful artwork that I'm looking forward to receiving. His artwork is amazing, and I'm sure you've seen at the pop-up show in the conference. Great work, Ben, and keep up the message of autism acceptance and inclusion through your books and school visits as well. Yeah, great job. I just wanted to take a few minutes to mention a few more of the more recent projects that I've been involved in that are very beneficial to the autism community. The Autism Mental Health Literacy Project from York University created a 221-page mental health literacy guide. The guide can be found online, as well as a 6-part video series on YouTube by Spectrum Productions. The 6-part video series on YouTube is very educational and very well done by Spectrum Productions. Hopefully you can find some time to watch them. Another current project, Bill C-22, is legislation which proposes a new benefit, the Canada Disability Benefit. Working age Canadians with disabilities are twice as likely to live in poverty as working age Canadians without disabilities, and the impact of the pandemic has made things even worse. I am part of the leadership team with Disability Without Poverty. Presently, Bill C-22 is at the committee stage of Senate and requires 3rd reading and royal assent to become law. It requires the government to budget the bill so that people with disabilities can receive livable income as soon as possible. So this is where I need to help me with this. I've been at the conference. I have like 100 of these postcards, but I'm not really good at interacting with everybody. It's just like an autism trait. So after the present, yeah. So, yeah. So after the presentation, come and see me and we can distribute these 100 postcards. And then if you're at my table yesterday, I know we don't have time to turn it into a phone exercise, but you can also email Amy at disabilitywithoutpoverty.ca and tell her you met a tall, handsome, autistic individual in Ottawa at the conference, and she will mail your organization postcards. These postcards, we're going to mail them. It's all postage paid. They go to the Honorable Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister, and it's hopefully we'll get the bill budgeted so that when it passes the reading, becomes law, it'll be budgeted. Then people will have like twice as much money to live on than they do now. They'll be able to pay the rent and buy groceries. Like they won't have to go to like the food bank. Like, yeah. So anyway, I have a Zoom meeting with Disability Without Poverty on Thursday. So I'm going to check and see who you make sure you use those keywords, you know, tall, handsome. They didn't show up on the screen. Okay, 3 more paragraphs. If I don't go off track. I've been a board member at Autism Canada since 2015. And prior to that was a board member at Autism Society Canada before it merged with Autism Canada Foundation to become Autism Canada. It's pretty confusing. It's Autism Canada now. Not only are autistics part of the staff, but we have a group of ambassadors that allow us to hear from the autistic community and get their input. And Yvonne is one of the ambassadors. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, stand up. And the ambassadors are the main contributors to our Sharing Spectrum newsletter. We are always looking for new ambassadors to join the team. Autism Canada also hosts the annual Autism Conference, a free virtual day of learning by autistics for autistics. It's a really good online conference. It'll be in October. There's a great quote in the disability community: "Nothing about us without us." The autistic community doesn't always have a voice, and it's not just because some of us are non-speaking. The time to change the perspective, their perception of what it means to have autism is now. We are at the forefront of the neurodiversity revolution. Autistic people are making themselves heard. We are showing that neurodiversity is a positive and not a negative. Autism conferences, agencies, and advocacy groups should all work to feature, integrate, and consult the people that they are trying to help. This is the kind of change we need to see in the world. Once again, nothing about us without us. And then, okay, I'm getting to in closing. So I don't know, let's see how long I can. This is all cats are on the autism spectrum. And I just find you can so you can read a big book, like a 200-page book, but does your babysitter want to read a 200-page book when she comes by to babysit your autistic child? So I actually use this book because on Friday when I fly home, the airline is going to read this book, whether they want to read it or not. The gate agent or the flight attendant, because when I'm not a nervous flyer, but when I know that they know, and there's a part where I could hide, you can't tell I have autism spectrum. You don't know why I'm anxious, you don't know why I'm nervous. But if I tell you up front, if there's a delay, I fly to St. John's a lot and there's fog, and if everything gets delayed, then you'll notice, maybe you notice I'm nervous now, but if you're all at the same airport and you want to know why I'm so nervous, you kind of got to know why there's a reason. And then sometimes other passengers read the book and then they figure out why I'm nervous, and then they help sort of calm me down, right? So anyway, it's a very useful book. It's a really great book, but I just wanted to quote the ending. So it explains autism traits, but it uses these really cute cat pictures. Anyway, it says, so those on the spectrum are just like everybody else. They need love and encouragement and a purpose for life, opportunities to try new things, and space to be themselves. And then everyone can sit back and enjoy the unique individuals they become. Thank you.
We have an award for Tom, but we'd be remiss if we didn't share a few words about the artist first.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Plouffe, and I'm a member of the Munson Award selection team with Kim Ward and Cyndi Gerlach. Mark's hiding around here somewhere. And last year's award recipient, Whitney Hodgins. I have the pleasure of telling you about our chosen artist, Ben LaChapelle, who created this year's Jim and Ginette Munson Autism Leadership Award art piece. Ben LaChapelle calls himself an animal knower. He is an autistic artist born and raised in the Laurentians of Quebec, Canada. Ben Animalia is a social enterprise inspired by Benjamin and his passion for animals. Ben Animalia is on a mission to spread joy and make the world more caring for animals and people, especially for those with different abilities. Ben's in the room with us today. He's just over in the corner over there. So I'll continue on here. Ben is passionate about all animals and has been since he was a young child. He draws, paints, sculpts, illustrates, and writes stories about animals from his unique perspective. Through his art, Ben has found a way to express himself and engage with the world around him. His work has been commissioned by McGill University, Inspirations newspaper, English Montreal School Board, Fondation Autisme de Laurentides, Four Corners, and many other community organizations. He was a featured artist at the 2019 Autism Festival, RTSA TACC, and his paintings and sculptures have been exhibited in several events. His work adorns the walls of numerous establishments, businesses, and private collectors' homes throughout North America. This is Ben is a speedy artist, and people always comment on how fluid and effortlessly he creates. Ben draws in one shot with no erasing or revisions, and often in one continuous stroke with his pen never leaving the paper. Can anybody here do that? I can't even draw a line like that. His art always involves animals because this is what he loves the most. He cares deeply for the environment and the well-being of all animal species. He also cares about his community and donates his time and artwork to various charities and local initiatives. When not creating or collaborating, Ben enjoys reading about animals, of course, walking his dogs Hershey and Callie, riding his bike, paddling, and cross-country skiing. He is also proficient at making all sorts of animal noises, and he's a darn good whistler. Julie and Ben have asked me to extend their heartfelt thanks for the opportunity to share Ben's creativity and the art at the Canadian Autism Leadership Summit. They are overwhelmed in the best way possible for the support they've received and the enthusiasm with which everybody has appreciated and purchased Ben's art. We need to provide more spotlights on artistic autistics. And as the mother of an artistic autistic and the new owner of several of Ben's prints, clay animals, and calendars, I encourage you to check out Ben's display before he runs out. Because thanks to your generosity, Julie shared that Ben Animalia has sold more of Ben's art in 3 days than in the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Now to present Hooting Indian Eagle Owl as the Jim and Ginette Munson Autism Leadership Award are Kim Ward and Cyndi Gerlach.
We're going to segue to a break, but before we do that, Tom was featured in a book which Senator Munson wrote forward for. And Tom was very generous and bought 3 copies of the book, which have been signed by both of them. I know everybody's ready for a movement break, so if you stand up and if you find a stress ball taped to the bottom of your chair, you will be, there's some stress balls that are taped to the bottom of the chair. If you have one of the ones that's taped to the bottom of the chair, come up and Tom has a book for you. So everybody enjoy your break. We're breaking for, oh, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
And as we take the break, Ben, I have my cardinal. I love cardinals. So Ben made me a cardinal today. So thank you to Ben. Thank you.